In this video, I'll share 50 interesting Formula One facts you probably didn't know. Fact 1. The champion with only one victory. In 1958, Hawthorne managed to win the World Drivers' Championship with just one victory in the season. That single victory and 7 podiums allowed him to beat his compatriot Stirling Moss, even though Moss had 4 wins. Fact 2. Stirling Moss and the honorable gesture that cost him a world championship. During the title battle in 1958, Mike Hawthorne was disqualified from the Portuguese Grand Prix. After the race, Moss asked the stewards to reinstate his rival and compatriot's second place. With these points for Hawthorne, Moss would finish just 1 point behind at season's end, earning another runner-up spot in the World Drivers' Championship. If he hadn't made that gesture, he would have been the Formula One world champion in 1958. Fact 3. The second champion with only one victory. Keke Rosberg won the 1982 World Championship with just one victory, the fewest wins for a champion in a season, thus matching Mike Hawthorne's record in 1958. That year, there were 11 different winning drivers from 7 different teams, including names like Alain Prost, Niki Lauda, and Nelson Piquet. Fact 4. Championship rivals who never shared a podium. Michael Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve were title rivals in 1997, but interestingly, they did not share a single podium that year. Together, Schumacher and Villeneuve won 12 races. Schumacher 5, Villeneuve 7. Out of 17 races, they earned 16 podiums and 13 pole positions. Only once before did the two main championship contenders not share a podium. This was in 1950 when Giuseppe Farina and Juan Manuel Fangio competed only 6 times. That record makes more sense due to the small number of races. Fact 5. The first color broadcast of a Formula One Grand Prix. Formula One began to be broadcast in color in 1967 with the German Grand Prix. Being one of the first sporting events to take advantage of this technology, it marked the beginning of a new era in sports television coverage and significantly improved the viewing experience for fans all around the world. Fact 6. The champion who pushed his car to the finish. Jack Brabham demonstrated true champion spirit at the 1959 United States Grand Prix. Brabham held a large lead on his final lap in the championship race. When his car ran out of fuel, Brabham refused to give up and pushed it across the finish line, placing 4th in the race. He just needed to score points to become Formula One champion. And with 4th place, he earned the first of his 3 world titles. Fact 7. The introduction of the Halo safety system. The Halo, a head protection device for the driver, was made mandatory in all Formula One cars to improve safety in 2018. This system saves lives, like in the 2022 British Grand Prix, where Juan Yoshio was able to survive a shocking crash. And if it hadn't been for the system, the story could have been quite different. Fact 8. In 1966, Brabham became the first to win as both a constructor and driver simultaneously. He won the World Championship as a driver while competing in a car he had built himself with the team he had founded in 1960. The team won 4 drivers and 2 constructors championships during its 30 years in Formula One. Fact 9. The first Formula One world champion in history. In 1950, Giuseppe Farina won the first Federazione Internazionale dell'Automobile World Drivers' Championship in an Alfa Romeo. He earned his first win at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone, one of 3 victories that led to his world champion title, against his closest rival who had the same number of wins, Juan Manuel Fangio. The victory at Silverstone marked the official beginning of Formula One as a series of competitive races recognized worldwide. Fact 10. The first biometric sensors for drivers appeared in 2018 when Formula One introduced gloves with sensors to enhance driver safety. This allowed medical teams and officials to obtain vital data in real time in case of an accident, improving emergency response and treatment. Fact 11. The double points controversy. Formula One introduced a highly controversial rule, which awarded double points in the last race of the 2014 season, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, with the intention of keeping the championship battle alive until the end. Between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, this rule was widely criticized and was removed after just 1 season. Fact 12. The first race in history was run at night. The first night Grand Prix took place in Singapore in 2008, featuring a stunning race under artificial lights. This innovation not only added an impressive visual element to the sport, but also allowed race schedules to be adapted for a wider global audience. Fact 13. The youngest Formula One driver ever. At the 2015 Australian Grand Prix, Max Verstappen became the youngest driver to start a Formula One race at just 17 years and 164 days old with the Toro Rosso team, breaking the previous record held by Jaime Alguersuari for almost 2 years. The rest is history. Fact 14. The youngest driver to win a Formula One Grand Prix. In line with the previous fact, Max Verstappen set the record as the youngest driver to win a Formula One race at the young age of 18 years and 228 days with the Red Bull team. This happened at the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. Fact 15. The oldest driver in history to compete in Formula One. At the 1955 Monaco Grand Prix, Louis Chiron became the oldest driver to start a Formula One race at 55 years and 292 days old with the Lancia team. He set a record that, given the physical demands of modern Formula One, has likely never been beaten. Fact 16. The oldest driver to win a Formula One Grand Prix. The oldest driver to win a Formula One Grand Prix. It's Luigi Fagioli, who won the French Grand Prix in 1951 at the age of 53 years and 22 days. Fagioli shared his win with Juan Manuel Fangio on the Alfa Romeo team, as drivers often shared cars during races then. Fact 17. The Tyrrell P34 raced in 1976 and 1977 is the only six-wheeled car to compete in Formula One. Featuring 4 small front wheels for better aerodynamics, it still managed to win at the Swedish Grand Prix. The added weight of the front suspension system, along with the geometric problems and the frequent overheating of the front brakes, were the main reasons for ending the project. Fact 18. The prestigious season of the 6 world champions, the 2012 Formula One season featured 6 world champions competing at the same time. These were Michael Schumacher, champion in the years 1994, 1995, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, and 2004. Sebastian Vettel, champion in the years 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013. Fernando Alonso, champion in the years 2005 and 2006. Lewis Hamilton, up to that point, champion in 2008, Jenson Button, champion in 2009, and Kimi Räikkönen, champion in 2007. Fact 19. The most evenly matched season start in history. Following up on the previous fact, in 2012, the first 7 races were won by 7 different drivers. These were Jenson Button in Australia, Fernando Alonso in Malaysia, Nico Rosberg in China, Sebastian Vettel in Bahrain, Pastor Maldonado in Spain, Mark Webber in Monaco, and Lewis Hamilton in Canada. Ultimately, Sebastian Vettel was crowned champion that year. Fact 20. Formula One introduced the first Constructors' Championship in 1958. The British team Van Gogh won the first title, highlighting the importance of teams and not just drivers in the sport. Fact 21. The 107% rule that caused a Formula One team to fail. First used in 1996. This rule required drivers to qualify within 107% of the pole position time to be eligible to race. The goal was to maintain competition and safety by preventing much slower cars from entering the same race. This rule was in effect between 1996 and 2002, and it was immediately broken. Forcing drivers failed to set a lap time within 107% of Jacques Villeneuve's pole at the 1996 Australian Grand Prix. This continued all season, and after round 11, the team ran out of money and chose to leave Formula One. Fact 22. The Swiss Grand Prix, which wasn't in Switzerland. The 1982 Swiss Grand Prix wasn't held in Switzerland but in France, due to the ban on motor racing on Swiss soil, after the 1955 Le Mans disaster where a multi-car crash killed driver Pierre Lepay and 83 spectators. Fact 23. The only driver in history to win the Triple Crown. Graham Hill is the only driver in history to have won the Triple Crown of motorsport. Triumphed in the Indianapolis 500, 1966, 24 Hours of Le Mans, 1972, and Monaco Grand Prix in Formula One. Hill was nicknamed Mr. Monaco for having achieved 5 victories in this Grand Prix in the years 1963, 1964, 1965, 1968, and 1969. Fact 24. Team orders were banned in 2002 after the Austrian Grand Prix controversy, where Rubens Barrichello let Michael Schumacher win. Formula One banned team orders that affected the outcome of a race. However, these were discreetly implemented by the teams, until the rule was finally relaxed in 2011 and stopped appearing in the sporting regulations. Fact 25. Crashgate, one of the biggest scandals in the history of Formula One. During the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, the Renault team ordered Nelson Piquet Jr. to deliberately crash on the 14th lap of the race to bring out the safety car. Letting teammate Fernando Alonso win the race led to an investigation the next year, resulting in Renault getting a suspended 2-year disqualification. Flavio Briatore and Pat Simons, two key team figures, were banned from the sport. Fact 26. The New York Grand Prix, which never took place, the race had been announced for the 1983 Formula One season. However, it was postponed due to campaigns by local residents against it. Due to the need for a detailed environmental study and other reasons, the Grand Prix was ultimately canceled. Fact 27. The Michelin disaster in 2005. At the 2005 United States Grand Prix, just 6 cars raced because Michelin's tires were considered unsafe. The tire supplier suggested regulatory changes to allow its 7 teams to race. However, after qualifying, Michelin concluded that it could not guarantee the safety of the cars. After numerous rejected proposals, the race was held with only 6 cars on the track. This incident highlighted the critical importance of tire safety and led to significant changes in the regulations. Fact 28. The first driver in history to win consecutive championships. Alberto Ascari was the first to win consecutive Formula One World Championships in 1952 and 1953. Setting a standard of excellence, he became one of the most legendary drivers in Formula One history. Fact 29. The first race in history held in the Middle East. The 2004 Bahrain Grand Prix was the first Formula One race held in the Middle East, highlighting the sport's global expansion and efforts to reach new markets, reflecting its worldwide appeal. Fact 30. Formula One's point system has changed greatly over time. The scoring system has evolved significantly since its start. Initially, only the top 5 received points, but this has changed several times to adapt to the growth of the sport and promote competition. Since 2010, points are given to the top 10, with the winner earning 25 points. Currently, a driver who sets the fastest race lap earns an extra point if they finish in the top 10. Also, currently, you get another additional point if you subscribe to this channel. Fact 31. The only Formula One world champion crowned after death. Jochen Rindt became the first and only posthumous world champion in Formula One. In 1970, Rindt died in a practice accident for the Italian Grand Prix. He had already earned enough points to win the championship that season without racing again. 5 victories secured him the title in 1970. Fact 32. The race with the fewest drivers finishing in the history of Formula One. The 1996 Monaco Grand Prix is famous for ending with only 3 cars crossing the finish line. Due to many accidents and mechanical issues, only some of the 22 starters finished the race. However, drivers who didn't finish still earned points because of classification rules, a rare event in the sport and a record that's tough to surpass. Fact 33. The oldest podium in the history of Formula One. At the 1950 British Grand Prix, which was also the first race in the history of Formula One, the podium was made up of Luigi Fagioli, who was 53 years and 22 days old, Giuseppe Farina, who was 43 years and 308 days old, and Rick Parnell, who was 38 years and 315 days old, adding up to a total of 135 years and 345 days, forming the oldest podium in the history of the category. Fact 34. The longest race in the history of Formula One. The longest race in the history of Formula One, in terms of time, was the Canadian Grand Prix held on June 12, 2011. This race was affected by adverse weather conditions that led to the safety car appearing several times and multiple interruptions, including a red flag stoppage that lasted more than 2 hours due to torrential rain. These events resulted in a total duration of 4 hours, 4 minutes, and 39 seconds from the start of the race to the checkered flag. Fact 35. The historic victory achieved without leading a full lap. Continuing with Canada 2011, Jenson Button achieved victory in that Grand Prix without having fully led a single lap. After a race almost entirely dominated by Sebastian Vettel, Button, after falling to the back of the grid, made a historic comeback by overtaking the Red Bull driver on the final lap. It was one of the most memorable races ever. Fact 36. The World Championship was decided in the final corner of the 2008 Brazilian Grand Prix, the season's last race. Lewis Hamilton passed Timo Glock in the final corner of the race's last lap, securing the 5th place that would guarantee him the world title by just 1 point over Felipe Massa. Despite winning the race, the Brazilian driver had to settle for 2nd place in the World Championship, behind the British McLaren driver. Fact 37. The victory from the last position on the grid. John Watson and McLaren achieved an incredible victory at the 1983 United States Grand Prix West. Starting from the 22nd position on the grid, the lowest starting position for a race winner in Formula One history. Fact 38. Failure of the elimination qualifying experiment. In 2016, Formula One briefly tried a new qualifying format featuring progressive driver elimination. In simple terms, it included Q1, Q2, and Q3, with the slowest driver eliminated every 90 seconds, until one remained in Q3 to take pole position. The format faced heavy criticism and was dropped after just 2 races. Fact 39. The drivers who founded teams with their own names. Some of the most iconic names in Formula One, like Bruce McLaren, Alain Prost, and Jackie Stewart, not only succeeded as drivers, but also established their own racing teams under their names. And as you can see, the list is extensive, so while you read the names, subscribe. Fact 40. The only Formula One driver to get pole position on his debut was at the 1996 Australian Grand Prix. Jacques Villeneuve shocked the world in his Formula One debut by taking pole position and leading much of the race. Though eventually passed by teammate Damon Hill and finishing 2nd, his impressive showing was among the most remarkable debuts in the category's history. Fact 41. The driver who fainted while pushing his car to the finish line. In the Dallas Grand Prix in 1984, Nigel Mansell tried to push his car to the finish line after it ran out of fuel. On the final lap, just meters from the finish, he collapsed from exhaustion and heat. Still, Mansell scored a point by finishing 6th. Fact 42. The only brothers ever to share a Formula One podium. Michael and Ralf Schumacher shared the podium 6 times during their Formula One careers. A unique achievement for 2 brothers in the sport. The most emotional moment between them was at the 2001 Canadian Grand Prix when Ralf won and Michael finished 2nd. Fact 43. The biggest margin of victory in a Formula One race by laps? Both Jackie Stewart at the 1969 Spanish Grand Prix and Damon Hill at the 1995 Australian Grand Prix took the victory, finishing more than 2 laps ahead of 2nd place. On the other hand, in terms of race time, Stirling Moss holds the record, winning the 1958 Portuguese Grand Prix by over 5 minutes. Fact 44, closest pole position ever. At the 1997 European Grand Prix, Schumacher, Villeneuve, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen set exactly the same qualifying time, which was 1 minute, 21 seconds, and 72 hundredths. Under the regulations that still exist today, the first driver to set the time takes pole position. Since Villeneuve set his time a little earlier in the session, he took pole, followed by Schumacher and Frentzen. Fact 45. The record for most consecutive retirements in Formula One. In times when poor reliability could impact a team's season, Andrea de Cesaris spent over a season without finishing a race, mainly retiring because of mechanical issues. The Italian went 22 races without completing the distance of a Grand Prix. Fact 46. The largest number of cars ever to start a Formula One race is a record unlikely to be matched again. 34 cars lined up for the 1953 German Grand Prix. The race can only start with up to 26 cars, as per current Formula One regulations. And even if the regulations underwent massive revisions, many Formula One circuits simply wouldn't have the facilities to handle the volume of participants. Fact 47. The biggest grid penalty in the history of Formula One. In 2015, when the current turbo hybrid power units were relatively new in the sport, Honda was struggling to perform. They were frequently installing new components on the McLaren cars and racked up a 70-place grid drop when they changed numerous parts on Jenson Button's car. At the 2015 Mexican Grand Prix, a still unbroken record was set. Fact 48. The only Formula One team to win every championship it entered. On March 6, 2009, former Ferrari genius Ross Brawn acquired the shares of the Honda Formula One team for the symbolic price of £1 and created the Brawn Grand Prix team, with which he competed in the 2009 Formula One World Championship. The team had cars with controversial diffusers that the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile confirmed as legal on April 16, 2009. It was estimated the gain per lap was half a second. That season, his team won the Constructors' Championship and Jenson Button became Formula One world champion. Once the season was over, he sold 75.1% of the team's shares to Mercedes for $100 million. Ross continued to lead the team, which was renamed Mercedes Aufrecht Melcher Groß Asbach F1 team. Fact 49. Only one team has existed since the creation of Formula One. The inaugural season of Formula One as a world championship was in 1950. But of all the teams that competed that year, the only one that still exists to this day is, as you can imagine, Ferrari. Fact 50. The worst hat trick in the history of motorsport. Hans Heyer is the only driver with a did not qualify, which means he didn't qualify, a did not finish, which means he didn't finish, and a disqualified, which means disqualified, all in a single race. At the 1977 German Grand Prix, he didn't qualify, but still managed to sneak onto the track. Once the race began, he retired due to a transmission failure and was later disqualified from the Grand Prix, as previously mentioned. A record no one wants. I hope you like these Formula One facts. Subscribe and see you next video.